Hollywood's interesting. They like you a certain way when you're black. You damn near have to be a black, because you can't have a black conscience. It's all right to have a white conscience. Things can be too black, but they can never be too white. They can't be white enough.
It's because I can't be jealous. I've never seen them have anything that I ever wanted. If you sign up for their program, you get a light-skinned, weird-faced wife.
My hidden talents really can't be discussed on national television because it involves excessive amounts of baby oil.
Two comedy legends, Paul Mooney and Katt Williams, tried to warn us about Steve Harvey, but people called them crazy, bitter, jealous, and look where we are now. Steve is scrambling to get his career back after getting exposed for his connection to Diddy, and let's just say it's not looking like he's gonna bounce back from this easily. So in case you missed it, Steve recently opened his mouth to speak on Diddy. He stayed silent for over 3 years on all those allegations, but now that Diddy is locked up, Steve finally decided to speak. He went on the One-on-One with Chris Fade podcast and talked about how Diddy's case is a warning to all young men, how you gotta be a gentleman, you gotta practice acts of kindness. And then he brought up the Cassie video and said this is what happens when your fame and money get to your head.
Puffy was doing all this, but boy, let me tell you something, man. And he was getting away with a lot. But when that video came out,
the one in the hotel room, you mean?
Bro, that's like you sitting up here going, wait a minute, hold on, man. What you doing? I mean, bro, for you to be a public figure, wrap a towel around yourself and run down a public hallway, not knowing who's at that elevator. It could have been other people at the elevator. But you go around there and there's no one at the elevator, and that's your reaction to this girl? He had the power to do whatever you want to do, but just because you can do something don't mean you should. You got money. I have some money. But bruh, I take this money home. This ain't the time to spread it all over Dubai. No, that ain't how it work, man. And then you get to have this life that you have because you played within the rules. You were a decent guy. Chris Fade is a decent guy. It's no way you get to this level and you're not a decent guy. You're not mistake-free, but you're a decent guy. You know, you've asked God for forgiveness. You know, you've said I'm sorry to some people. Yeah. You've apologized. That's how you get through life. If you don't do that, man, you gotta go to prison.
So Steve is saying a lot, except how he let his daughter Lori date Diddy. Keep in mind, Lori was 22 and Diddy was 49 at the time, and Steve was cool with it. Not only did he approve of that relationship, but Steve, Marjorie, Diddy, and Lori used to vacation together. Lori was literally all over Diddy, touching, kissing, while sitting at the table across from Steve. So now Steve's over here talking about being a gentleman and a decent person, but I wonder why they didn't ask him about Lori and Diddy. And it's not just that. Steve and Diddy go way back, and Steve used to publicly praise him all the time. In 2017, Steve tweeted this: "My brother Diddy is doing a world of good for these kids." That aged well. By the way, when all those allegations started surfacing about Diddy, Steve quietly deleted this tweet. And then he stayed silent for 3 whole years. But now he wants to talk? Yeah, it doesn't work like that, and people are not letting it slide. They're calling him out for being a hypocrite because you can't be the moral police for everybody else, talking about how men should treat women, while your own daughter was kissing Diddy right in front of you. And Steve has been in this industry for decades. There's no way he didn't know what Diddy was doing. Even if he never witnessed anything firsthand, he definitely heard the rumors. Everybody heard the rumors. About the parties, about how Diddy treated Kim Porter, how Diddy moved behind the scenes. This wasn't some well-kept secret. It's just that Diddy was protected because he was useful to the higher-ups. That's why he got away with it for so long. And that's how the industry works. Hollywood protects black celebrities who are useful to the system. They protected Diddy for years. They protected R. Kelly. They protected Bill Cosby. They're protecting Jay-Z for now, because those men made them money, billions of dollars. They're gatekeepers.
Diddy was literally running a blackmail operation within the music industry, but he also had a boss he answered to. But once allegations become too loud to ignore, when the feds get involved and those gatekeepers become a liability, the industry throws them under the bus. They become the fall guy for much bigger fish. Remember Katt Williams said he tried to warn people about Harvey Weinstein, Diddy, and R. Kelly for years, but they called him crazy? Because those people were part of the program.
They canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, it's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there?
I told him no. What y'all do? They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. When I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? This is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side.
But long before Katt went viral with that Club Shay Shay interview, there was the late great Paul Mooney, and he was trying to warn us about comedians like Steve Harvey. Now, if you don't know who Paul Mooney was, you need to get your life together. This man wrote for Richard Pryor, wrote for Red Fox, created Homie the Clown, created Negro Damas. He was on Chappelle's show, telling the truth in ways nobody else had the nerve to. Paul Mooney literally helped build comedy as we know it.
I mean, Hollywood is crazy. First they had The Mexican with Brad Pitt, and now they've got The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Well, I've written the film. Maybe they'll produce my film. The Last Nigga on Earth, starring Tom Hanks. How about that?
And here's what made Mooney different. He never sold out. He understood that what you put out there shapes how the world sees us. He talked about the responsibility black comics have to make sure they're not putting out an image that's just a caricature for the masses. Now listen to what else he said. In a 2008 interview that recently resurfaced, Paul talked about how Hollywood only accepts one type of black comedian, the one who behaves like a white man, the one who adopts the white man's worldview, makes white people comfortable, and never steps out of line. Listen to this and tell me who it reminds you of.
Hollywood likes you in a certain way. They like you a certain way. They have yeah, Hollywood's interested. They like you a certain way when you're black. You damn near have to be a black Anglo-Saxon. They know the difference. You know what I'm talking about. You worked on jobs. You've seen how white people relate to black people that really kiss their behind.
Steve Harvey is exactly the kind of black comedian Paul Mooney was talking about, the one who never says or does anything to make white executives uncomfortable. And Steve has said himself that more than half of his daytime audience is white. When asked why he doesn't talk more about issues affecting the black community, Steve said, "I never mention color in my books. My show is not an African-American show. In fact, more than half of Harvey's daytime audience is white. I'm not beating people over the head. I'm black. We black, and that's how I look at it. I'm not going to let them put me in a box and pigeonhole me." And remember when Monique exposed Steve on his own show? Monique revealed that Steve acted as if he supported her in private when she was blackballed by the industry, but then turned around and trashed her in public. Steve then told her she handled it wrong. He basically said speaking the truth in Hollywood costs money, and she should have thought about that before speaking out. Monique said integrity was more important than money, but Steve clearly doesn't think that way.
Now, I said no to some very powerful people. I said no to Oprah Winfrey. I said no to Tyler Perry. I said no to Lee Daniels. And I said no to Lionsgate. And the difficulty came in when people that look like me, like Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I gotta put my brother Steve on the list. Y'all knew I was not wrong. Each one of you said to me, "Monique, you're not wrong." And when I heard you go on the air and you said, "My sister done burnt too many bridges, and there's nothing I can do for her now." Steve, do you know how hurt I was?
Simone, now let me give you this. Because you and I had this conversation, I thought you went about it wrong. See, I felt that you had done yourself a disservice by the way you chose to go about it.
And what happens is when you allow people to start taking your freedom and your gift and making it become what makes them comfortable, all of y'all said privately, I've done nothing wrong.
When you tell the truth, you have to deal with the repercussions of the truth. We black out here. We can't come out here and do it any kind of way we want to. Listen to me. Your husband can't be the Sidney that he really is out here.
Let me tell you something.
That flexing,
Let me
we
tell
gotta
you
flex
something.
a different way. We out here in a game. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game.
It's
This
the
the money
game.
game.
But I'ma
We
tell
in the
you
money
something.
game. And
We're
you
in the
cannot
money game.
sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for
This
poor
why I
people
love
is
my
not be one
brother.
of them. You cannot
We're in
help
the money
them
game,
all.
but let me tell you what the game is
Cannot
before the
help
money
them
game.
like this.
Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. and we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
But Mo,
So basically what Steve told Monique is that she can't be herself and speak her mind because white executives don't like that. She has to make herself smaller, quieter, more polite. See how problematic that message is? And that's exactly what Paul Mooney was talking about all those years ago. Paul didn't care about white approval. He didn't even care about black approval. He was a free soul who always spoke his mind, no matter who was listening. And that's real integrity. But Steve Harvey, he's been playing both sides his whole career. Calling Diddy his brother one minute, dragging him the next. Lecturing men on being gentlemen while co-signing his daughter dating Diddy. Giving relationship advice like he's the moral authority while he cheated on both of his ex-wives and left them in the dirt as soon as Marjorie looked his way. Paul Mooney and Katt Williams never needed Hollywood's approval because they had integrity and self-respect. Steve, he bought his approval and he paid for it with his integrity. He even admitted Hollywood is still very racist, so he knows the system is broken, but he's not about to rock the boat. He'll acknowledge the problem exists, but he just won't do anything about it. Think about it. When has Steve Harvey ever spoken out on real black issues? Police brutality, systemic inequality, the way Hollywood treats black women? He stays quiet and plays it safe. That's exactly what Paul Mooney was talking about. Steve Harvey is the comedian who made himself useful to the industry. He plays the role. He's the safe black man who makes white higher-ups comfortable while still selling the hood success story to black audiences. But the second this kind of gatekeeper isn't useful anymore, they get dropped like a hot potato. Steve is watching that happen in real time, and you know he's scared. Paul Mooney and Katt Williams never had to worry about being dropped because they never compromised. There's no secret tape out there that could expose them doing something wild. There are no women or men coming out of the woodwork and accusing them of anything inappropriate because they moved with integrity their whole career. But Steve has to stay in line because there's no telling what he did to get to the top. We all know he didn't get there on talent alone, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Steve is scared because he knows he might be exposed any day now? How do you feel about Paul Mooney's views on the black comedians who make it in Hollywood? Drop your comments below and I'll catch you in the next one.